Imagine you have a lot of insecure passwords and you're worried about getting hacked. And you also don't trust those random companies that make their password managers. In that case, you'd probably want to create one yourself. So today in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to create your own in under 10 minutes. Let's begin. I'm going to be creating 3 files. One's going to be called encrypt, the next one will be called save, and the last one will be called main. The next thing I'll do is download a package called PyCryptoDome. Alright, so now that we download all the packages we need, we're going to get started. So we're going to import all the packages we need. So we're going to import base64 and hashlib, and these are already downloaded with Python, so we don't need to worry about downloading anything. And then we're going to also import the package we just installed. So after that, we're going to create a class called AES256, and we're going to start with the initialization method here. So this will just take in a key, which is our password, and we'll generate a encryption key from that. And we'll also create an IV, which will be used for encryption later. And we'll fill this in with data after, but we'll do that later. So we're going to start off with the encryption method, and it'll just take in some plain text. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a cipher using this AES package. So it'll take in a key, it will take in the IV as well, and this is just the mode we're using to encrypt. So to add extra security to this, we're going to add some padding to the plain text. So you can use this formula to get the padding length, and then we're actually going to add that to the plain text. And then we're going to start encrypting it here. So it will just encode it, and then we get some ciphertext here. And then we're going to return this. We're going to add the IV to the ciphertext and return this as a base64 encoded. So after that, we're going to need to decrypt this later. So we're going to start making our decryption method. So this will take in the ciphertext, and basically we're just going to reverse what we did here. So we're going to decode it first, and then we're going to we're going to grab the IV, and then we're going to create the cipher here, which is using the same data as we did here. It's just extracting the IV instead of using this one here. And then what we're going to do is remove the padding and decrypt it. And then, yeah, that's it. We just return that. So now after we finish that, we're going to head on to saving. Alright guys, so now we're on to saving, and saving is pretty simple. So we're going to use 2 more packages that also come with Python. We're going to be using JSON and the OS. So we're going to create another class called saver, and we're going to start with the initialization method. So this one will take in a file, which is just a string, and this is where we're going to save our passwords basically. So we're going to save that, and then we're going to go and make a method called save. So the save will take in data, which is the data we want to save. And we're going to open the file with writing access, and we're just going to call it file. And what we're going to do is use the JSON method called dump, which will just put the data into the file. So basically, we're putting this data into the file here, and we're also doing indent equals 4, and what that'll do is it will format it and make it look readable inside the file. This is optional, but it just makes it look easier to read, and I like doing it. So now we're going to add another method called read, and this is how we're going to get the data, and this will take in nothing. So we're going to open the file again, but instead we're going to just use a read access, and we're going to grab the data from this file. So this is just some plain text, and we're also going to do a check here to see if there's anything inside the file, because if there's nothing in the file and we use another method that we're about to use called load, it'll throw an error. So this will just prevent some errors from happening. And if it's nothing, we'll just return an empty array. And if not, then it will continue on and use this JSON.loads and the data. And this will convert it into an array instead of just text. So yeah, this is all for saver. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So now we're gonna go on to main. Alright guys, so before we move on to doing main, we need to do a couple things to set this up a little more. So first thing I'm going to do is create my passwords file, and this will be where we save all the passwords. So I'm just going to call mine passwords.txt, and yeah. So the next thing we're going to do as well is we need to generate the IV here. So what I'm going to do for this is just type Python, and this will bring me to the Python interpreter just in the console. And what I'm going to do is do import OS, and then I'm going to type in os.urandom, and then it's a function, and I'm going to put in 16. And this will just generate 16 random bytes. And once you get this, you just copy this and paste it into your IV here. And we need this for the encryption later on, just 16 random bytes. And yours will probably look different than mine. Each time you run it, it'll give you something different. So yeah, we just needed that. And now we can start working on main. Alright guys, so we're going to import the two classes we made. We're also going to import OS. And before we continue, we need to set up the password, or the master password check. So we're just going to make a temporary variable here, and we're going to put in the master password that we're going to use. So you would put in your password. I'm just going to put in secret. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to print out this, and I'm going to print out the encrypt function and the plain text. It can be whatever you want. Just make sure you remember what you put in here. So I'm going to do text to match, and I'm going to run it. And it should return just this here. Yours would obviously be different. And I'm just going to call this master password check, like so, and paste that in. And then I'm just going to delete that because that's not useful. So we're going to continue on, and we're going to set up the saver. We're also going to read the passwords and get all them from the file. And then we're also going to do a login variable. So we're going to do a while loop, and we're going to say if you're not logged in, then you have to input your master password. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create an encryptor with that master password, and we're going to do a check. So I put in text to match. So what we're going to do is we're going to check to see if that value is the same as your master password check. If it isn't the same, then we're going to print out that's incorrect, and we're going to make you go back to the front. If not, then you're going to be logged in, and then we're going to continue on. So I'm going to clear the console. And in Windows, you would do CLS instead of clear. But since I'm using Mac, I'm just going to keep it clear. So we're going to then make a menu here. And we're going to have 1, 2, and 3. So you put in your choice. And we're going to convert it into a number. And then we're going to see if you are out of the range. So if you're above 3 or below 1, then we'll put an error and make you go back to the front. If not though, then we're going to put in, or we're going to ask you for your application, and then we're going to go through the list here. So first of all, one is find password. So we're going to go through each password, and we're going to decrypt the first value, which is application. And we're going to say that if this, what you put in, is inside of passwords, then we're going to print out what you put in. So basically, if you have like an application that's called app, and you put in an A, it will show you what password you put in here, and that will output it. And yeah, so that's why we're not using equals, because not everyone wants to put in a whole entire name. So once we do that, we're going to go on to choice 2, which is add a password. So it'll ask for a password since we already have the application in. And you'll put in your password, and then we'll encrypt both of these and put it into a string format instead of bytes. And then we'll append this to the passwords array and then save that. So once we get that, then we'll go on to choice 3, which is deleting. So we'll go through, and this one has to be an exact match, or else it just will skip over it. And then we'll do a confirm to make sure that you want to delete this password. And if it's a yes, then we'll delete it from the array, and then we'll save it again. And then it'll break, and that's it. Alright guys, we just barely made it past the deadline, but we made it. So, I noticed one thing that I made a little mistake on here. When you save the password, you need to put in passwords. So just a heads up, you need to make sure you do that. But now that we have it all working, I think it's time to show you guys what it does. So we'll run this, and it'll ask you for the master password. So if you put in some random stuff here, it'll say password incorrect. But if we put in the password that we put in earlier, which was secret, it logs you in. So right now, the passwords has nothing. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a password. We're just going to put in app, and then we're going to put in the password as pass. So as we can see, it adds it to the passwords file. And if we search for it, we call it app, it will show up. But also, if we just search for A, it will also show up. So that's pretty cool. But then if we want to get rid of this password, we go here, and you just search in app, and it'll say, are you sure you want to delete it? Yes or no? If we put in no, it won't do anything. But if we put in yes, it will delete it, as you can see. So yeah, it fully works, fully encrypted, and hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you guys soon.